Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel UK News. We hope you are doing great. In this video we will talk about Keir Starmer has made a strong commitment to protect public services from further cuts and shield working class citizens from additional tax burdens. This pledge comes as he faces the challenge of reversing his party's sharp decline in popularity since the general election. Speaking ahead of the Labour Party's annual conference, Starmer emphasised that his administration is committed to defending essential services, reassuring party members that the hard times brought about by previous governments will not result in more austerity measures. In an exclusive interview with The Observer, Starmer, now the Labour Prime Minister, tried to dispel the sense of gloom and doom within his party. Labour's annual conference, which was initially envisioned as a victory celebration following the party's landslide election win, has instead been marred by internal tensions. The conference, taking place in Liverpool, will see Starmer attempt to assure his party's increasingly impatient members that better days are ahead. "Yeah, it's my job to address these issues," Starmer admitted. "And, I take full responsibility for the situation. Leaks coming from Downing Street, often sparked by staff frustrated with the influence of my Chief of Staff, Sue Gray, have been damaging our momentum," he added. His statement reflected an acknowledgement that there are internal challenges to his administration. The leaks, especially those criticising Gray's power, have created friction and destabilised the government just 3 months into Starmer's term. "I see. We need to root out these issues and, restore unity," Starmer said, indicating his desire to strengthen his team's cohesion. The Labour Party's annual gathering will begin on Sunday, but instead of an all-out celebration, Starmer and his ministers are bracing themselves for a union-led revolt over economic policies. Delegates are particularly upset over cuts to winter fuel payments, a move they believe is inconsistent with Labour's promise to protect vulnerable citizens. Moreover, some of the party's base is frustrated by the sight of Starmer and his ministers accepting lavish gifts from wealthy donors, a scenario that's prompted accusations of elitism, evoking comparisons to previous Tory administrations, Starmer said, addressing the anger over the fuel payment cuts. "But we have to remember the bigger picture." Indeed, with the economy already struggling due to years of Tory mismanagement, Starmer explained that his government is navigating tough financial circumstances. "Right? There's no denying we're facing difficult times," he said. "But I want to make it clear we are not going back to austerity." In the interview, Starmer highlighted the dire state of public services. "I'm acutely aware that our public services are, on their knees. There's always someone who will argue for deep cuts, but, I ran a public service, I know what those cuts feel like." His experience running a public service during his time as Director of Public Prosecutions gives him personal insight into the devastating effects of budget reductions. He insisted that, if anything, public services need more support to function effectively. "We can't keep cutting, we've reached the bone," he said. Looking ahead, Starmer stressed that Chancellor Rachel Reeves's first budget, due on October 30th, would prioritise shielding working-class people from tax increases. "I get it, people have had enough of tax rises. And Hashim, there really isn't much more room for them. That's why I made that commitment not to raise income tax, national insurance, or VAT for working people." Starmer's approach signals a desire to distance his government from the era of austerity that followed the financial crisis of 2008, which disproportionately affected public services and the less well-off. Over the past few weeks, he's been careful to remind the public of the mess left behind by the Tories' a gaping £2 billion hole in the budget, an overburdened NHS, and a dysfunctional prison system. But now, Starmer wants to offer a more optimistic vision. Now we need to talk about rebuilding. The why is just as important as the what, and we need to set out the path to a better Britain, he explained. However, the internal dissent within his party threatens to overshadow his message. The biggest unions, including Unison, are set to push for a motion demanding a reversal of the cuts to winter fuel payments and a more significant investment in public services. Some unions are also advocating for a wealth tax to be levied on the highest earners. "I see, it's tough. But we must listen to what people are saying," Starmer acknowledged. The union's demands could result in a major confrontation on the conference floor, with a vote on their motion potentially taking place on Monday. An eve of conference opinion poll conducted by Opinion for the Observer reveals the scale of the challenge facing Starmer. His personal approval ratings have plummeted by a staggering 45 points since July, falling below those of Rishi Sunak, the recently defeated Tory leader. Labour's lead on economic issues has narrowed dramatically, dropping from a 10-point advantage in July to just a single point now. And more than half of voters feel that the government has failed to instill optimism or rebuild trust in politics. Unite General Secretary Sharon Graham delivered a stark message to Starmer in an article for The Observer. People need hope, not just gloom and doom, she wrote. Nobody was expecting full-blown socialism. But, yeah, we did expect some democratic challenges to the current inequalities of wealth and power. Graham went on to criticise Starmer's decision to maintain the cuts to winter fuel payments. Most people will forgive mistakes. We all make them. But doubling down and refusing to change course? That's something people will find harder to accept. Despite these internal pressures, Starmer remains adamant that his government will not return to austerity. There are indications that Chancellor Reeves may find alternative solutions to the budget shortfall. One possibility is a reduction in the interest payments made by the Treasury to the Bank of England, a move that could potentially free up £2.0 billion a year. Right, there are other options on the table. Starmer confirmed, suggesting that changes to the current fiscal rules could provide the Chancellor with more financial breathing room. On Sunday, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner will announce a major initiative aimed at tackling the country's housing crisis. Labour is planning to build 1.5 million homes over the next 5 years as part of its ambitious house-building programme. We've inherited a Tory housing crisis, Rayner said. This Labour government is taking bold action to build the homes our country desperately needs, while also ensuring that every home is decent, safe and warm. Starmer's focus on housing is part of a broader effort to demonstrate that his government is committed to addressing the everyday concerns of ordinary citizens. Okay, this is about showing people that we're here to make their lives better, Starmer said as he laid out the steps his administration is taking to confront the housing crisis. As the Labour conference unfolds, Starmer faces an uphill battle not only to reassure his party's base, but also to reconnect with voters who have grown disillusioned in the early months of his premiership. But with his commitment to protecting public services, avoiding austerity, and building a more equitable society, Starmer hopes to rally his party and the country toward a brighter future. Yeah, it won't be easy, but we can get there, Starmer concluded with determination.
Thanks for watching our video. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe the channel. Thank you.